Here's Ventura, RBI single in the first. Watch out. Look at this.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Even the most casual baseball fan knows that this is the greatest brawl in baseball history. 46-year-old Nolan Ryan pounding on 26-year-old Robin Ventura's head. The old man giving the young guy a beatdown. But even diehard baseball fans might not know why it happened. Ventura just happened to be in the right place at the wrong time. Or the wrong place at the right time. Whatever. He didn't really have a choice, though. But who really started the wheels in motion that caused the fight that sometimes overshadows everything else either player did the rest of their careers? This is the story of Nolan Ryan's Fight Club. You might think you know the who, what, why, and hows of this brawl, but I'm going to break the first and second rule of Nolan Ryan's Fight Club. I'm going to talk about it. I'm Jeff from the Two Strike Noise podcast, and I'm going to tell you how a 5'8" short king who hadn't even played in a major league game yet sparked the fire in this bitter rivalry. Why Robin Ventura ultimately had no choice but to charge Nolan Ryan. What exactly happened at the bottom of the pile, and what was the fallout from baseball's greatest base brawl? A 43-year-old Nolan Ryan, who wasn't pitching that day, is watching the game from the bench. On the field, a diminutive 25-year-old, still a month away from making his major league debut, hits a meaningless home run. But Ryan notices this kid, who has exactly 0 days of service time, may have been a little too happy about hitting a home run in a game that didn't count. Ryan made a mental note. A few months later, Ryan was on the mound for the Rangers when that same little guy from spring training, now with a whole 41 games in the big leagues under his belt, comes to the plate.
That's deep. Way back. Inconvenient looks up, put it on the board.
First pitch swinging, and rookie Craig Grayback belts his first career home run in the big leagues. Nolan watches him circle the bases, and just as he had done in Florida, Ryan thought Grayback enjoyed his trip a little too much. That mental note that Nolan made during the spring was now a full-fledged movie franchise with spin-offs and merch. After the inning, in the Rangers dugout, Ryan asked about Grayback. How old is he? He looks like he's about 12. I'm gonna put some age on the little squirt. He's swinging like he isn't afraid of me. He wouldn't have to wait long. The two teams met again the next week. Again, in Grayback's first plate appearance of the game.
What? I'll tell you what. That disappoints me in Nolan Ryan. That really does. I don't think there's any question he was throwing at him.
This would cause the White Sox to retaliate in the bottom of the fifth by hitting Rangers third baseman Steve Buechele, leading to a lengthy brawl and just adding more fuel to the fire of this budding rivalry. Nolan Ryan broke into the big leagues at the age of 19 in 1966. The Ventura Brawl happened on August 4th, 1993. That's almost 27 years after Ryan's big league debut. But with age comes experience, and Nolan, being a cowboy, had been to a rodeo or two before. Throughout his Hall of Fame career, when he wasn't throwing no-hitters or leading the league in strikeouts, Nolan was known to buzz a batter's tower for some baseball offense, either perceived or otherwise, fitting them with a bow tie, what Nolan called a high and tight fastball. Ryan always pitched with a philosophy that half the plate belonged to the batter, but the other half, usually the outer half, was his. And if a batter even thought about diving into Nolan's half, a bow tie might just make him think twice about doing it again. There's definitely some history of Nolan Ryan and batters being gifted a bow tie. Through his 26 seasons prior, Nolan had hit more batters than all but 10 others in the history of the game. And all of them except for Jim Bunning did so while playing in the 1800s or early 1900s. Though he only actually led the league once in hit batters, he was not afraid to put a guy on base to stake his claim of the plate. Through his 26 seasons, a batter had only headed to the mound instead of first after being hit twice before. The first was the Giants' Willie McCovey in a spring training game near the end of his career and at the beginning of Nolan's. But the second time really shaped how Nolan would handle the third. August 9th, 1980. Padres are in Houston to take on Ryan's Astros. Whether his control was a little off that night or he was just pitching the Padres in, Ryan had hit shortstop Ozzie Smith in the previous inning. So when Dave Winfield had to bail on a mid-90s fastball up and in, it was too much for the Padres right fielder. Frankly, Winfield looked like he was waiting for somebody to hold him back. But at 6'6", 220, nobody really wanted to be that guy, and I don't blame them. By the time he got to Ryan, he had loaded up a big right hand and launched it. It connected to the back of Ryan's head, but then, as the benches emptied, Ryan gets the giant future Hall of Famer in a headlock. After the dust settled, Winfield was ejected from the game while Ryan continued to pitch. So, just to recap some important things from the only other regular season fight Nolan Ryan was involved in. Headlock? Check. Batter ejected? Check. Ryan not ejected? Check. But Ryan took something else away from this event.
After he took a punch at me, and I realized that, if he had connected, he could have really hurt me. So I took the attitude, if anybody else comes out there, I'm not going to be passive about it because they're coming out with the intent to hurt you, and so you have to protect yourself.
Ryan even exacted some revenge on Dave Winfield 5 years after this run-in. In the 1985 All-Star Game in Minnesota, Ryan fitted Winfield with a limited edition All-Star bow tie. And he wasn't the only one to receive one that night in a meaningless exhibition game. During the 91 and 92 seasons, Ryan faced the White Sox 5 times. Ryan went 1-1 with 28 and a third innings pitched, giving up only 13 runs while striking out 32. He did hit 2 batters in those 5 games. Tempers between the two clubs were escalating though. In the 52 regular season games since Graybeck's spring training home run, the two teams had hit each other 33 times. Of the 17 White Sox the Rangers had hit, Nolan was responsible for a quarter of them. This leads us to 1993, and in early August, the White Sox led the AL West, with Texas in third, only 5.5 games back. The Sox headed to Arlington for an important 4-game series. Things started to get spicy in the second inning of Game 1 when Texas drilled Ron Karkovice. The White Sox responded in the next half inning by nailing Dean Palmer. Tone of the series had been set. Game 2 was all White Sox from the start and evened the series at 1, with Nolan set to take the mound in Game 3. The Sox struck first on an RBI single by Robin Ventura. The bottom of the second, and Sox starter Alex Fernandez hits Rangers slugger Juan Gonzalez to lead off the inning. Normally not that suspicious. With a 2-0 lead, you don't want to put somebody on to lead off an inning, but we know Nolan is old school.
You send one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
The next inning, Ryan retires Matt Murillo on 1 pitch, which brings Ventura to the plate. Then, Nolan drills his favorite target on the first pitch.
Watch out.
Nolan's reputation as a tough guy was well earned. He's 46 years old at this point and probably the most respected pitcher, if not player, in the game. Ryan helped cement this tough guy image with a mixture of fastballs, Advil.
For me, it's a couple of Advil, and those muscle aches are long gone. I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
And taking a Bo Jackson comebacker off his face in the second inning of a game, but remaining in the game for 5 more innings and only allowing 1 run while striking out 8. He finally left the game with stitches in his lower lip and a jersey that was more red than blue and white. By 1993, Bo Jackson was now a member of the White Sox and had made a specific point of telling his teammates exactly how to charge the mound. Turning to his football experience, Bo told them to run straight to second base, right through the pitcher. Get him going backwards so he's off balance. He said you're only going to get 1 shot before everybody else gets there. And finally, keep your damn helmet on. Maybe Ventura was in the bathroom when this happened because he did exactly none of these things and paid for it. The White Sox were well aware of Ryan's style, toughness, and penchant for drilling them in particular. There was talk in the Chicago clubhouse of a fine if you didn't charge the mound if he hit you. And it's almost as if you can see Ventura remember that right here. He was just going to take his base before he remembered, oh, I got to go out there. Nolan, remembering the lessons learned from the Winfield Brawl, met Ventura head on, in front of the mound. Robin, for some reason, had tossed his helmet and lowered his head, which allowed Ryan to throw him in that headlock and somehow not break his pitching hand as he peppers Ventura's head with punches until both benches arrive. Ventura is quickly removed from the pile and wisely stays outside of the mass of humanity still gathering around the pitcher's mound. But where was Nolan? All these big bodies still around the mound pushing and shoving. Well, he's on the bottom of them. All I remember is that I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to black out and die when all of a sudden I see two big arms tossing bodies off me. It was Bo Jackson. He had come to my rescue, and I'm awful glad he did, because I was about to pass out. I called him that night and thanked him. After cooler heads prevailed, both Ventura and White Sox manager Gene Lamont were ejected. But that's it. Just as he had done with Winfield, Ryan was allowed to continue to pitch. But with Ventura having been ejected, somebody was going to have to run for him at first base. And as fate would have it, jogging out to first base was none other than our cocky short king who started it all.
So Ventura definitely has been ejected.
Oh, yeah.
And Graybeck will run for him.
The batter who had first drawn the ire of Nolan 3 years previously in a spring training game. But he wouldn't be there for long. He was picked off first base on the first pitch. Ryan would throw 7 strong innings, strike out 5, and get the win. Let's compare this outcome to the Winfield Brawl. Headlock? Check. Batter ejected? Check. Ryan not ejected? Check. It would be the last time Ryan would face the White Sox. The next month, he would tear a ligament in his pitching shoulder, ending his career. Over his 27 years in the big leagues, Ryan amassed a still-standing MLB record for career strikeouts with 5,714. And though he hit 158 batters, he was ejected only 1 time his entire career. The video of the 46-year-old legend pounding on the head of the 26-year-old infielder went viral and still racks up millions of views today, and has even started its own cottage industry of artwork and products inspired by the incident. Hall of Famer Mike Piazza even admitted to studying this brawl to prepare himself against Roger Clemens, who had targeted him several times during the 2000 season. Let me hear it. Is there a better base brawl? Tell me down below in the comments after you make sure to like and subscribe.